So I recently made a poll over on my Instagram asking if you guys believe a second stimulus check was imminent. The result? Well, it was pretty surprising. 41% of you guys said yes, while 59% of the people said no. So what is the answer to this? Are we going to actually see a second stimulus check, or is this all propaganda? In this video, I'm going to be going over what the answer to that is. So make sure you guys watch the entire video, because towards the end, I'm going to be going over the conclusion and the tips and the things that you need to know today in order to make sure that you are secure during these times. Now, before we get started with this video, don't forget to drop a like on this video. That seriously helps out this channel so much. And also comment down below what your thoughts are if there would be a second stimulus check or not. I know some of you guys think we should get one. Some of you guys think we shouldn't. It seems very split up right now, and I really want to hear your thoughts on it as well. So both government leaders are in favor for a second stimulus check, and we haven't seen one yet. When will we expect to see a second stimulus package? All right, so to answer this question, we need to back up a few months and do a short reflection on what we've been seeing for this past year of 2020. Right after the initial distribution of the first stimulus checks, we saw two different plans getting passed, and this is where things got pretty interesting. Now, as a YouTuber, this is when I was making a lot of the content, so I was digging into this information every single day, and I remember how frustrating it actually was to hear all of this. The Democratic House went ahead and passed something known as the HEROES Act that was worth $3 trillion back in the month of May. The Republicans passed something called the HEALS Act, which was a countered version of this at a much smaller fraction of the price. All negotiations coming together were all about closing the gap in between those two packages. Now, the big epic battles that we've seen before in the past, I would say, come from Nancy Pelosi and Steve Mnuchin. We've seen them butt heads and really struggle to come to an agreement. Let's take an example of the state and local government affair that we had with regards to the stimulus package. House Democrats wanted a $900 billion amount in order to bail out state and local governments. Now, guys, this is not millions. We're talking about the billions. Senate Republicans wanted a much lower amount, saying that that was not absolutely necessary, and they wanted $200 billion. It's this constant back and forth, trying to meet each other at both ends of the party. And Republicans, on top of that, were arguing that they weren't able to use up the full budget from the original CARES Act. Needless to say, it was things like this where the gap in between the numbers could not be met. State and local government was a big example of this, but another one was unemployment rate boosts. The big issue that we've seen in the past were other people getting such a big paycheck from unemployment benefits on top of the boost, where they were making more money than going back to work itself. Republicans believed that this was simply just way too much money to be taking out in the form of debt, while Democrats believed that this was something necessary. So this is just two examples on top of a giant bill worth trillions of dollars. Looking back, there were a ton of discrepancies and disagreements between both parties, and if you're asking the question on why we haven't seen a second stimulus package, it's because we just haven't come to an agreement since. So what actually needs to happen in order for a second stimulus check to get passed? With the original CARES Act and the stimulus checks that we first saw at the beginning of the year, we saw a huge regression in three different things. One was the unemployment. We saw unemployment rate go to record highs. The government came to a halt. The economy was not moving, and with high unemployment rates, meaning people couldn't go to work, this was pretty much a time where the government had to step in and say, look, we need to help the people out, and we need to get something passed. Now, on top of that, the second thing would be an increase in cases. During the time of this recording, we're seeing some record high cases that are meeting, if not surpassing, the same amount of numbers that we saw earlier this year. We all knew that a second wave was coming. A lot of people predicted it, but we really had no idea on how bad it can get, and we still really don't have a good idea of that. Right now, I know that in my area, we are returning to shutdown. So before, we were allowed to actually eat out in restaurants, but now they're taking that privilege away. You can't eat out at any restaurants. Small businesses are shutting down once again. I know that my area isn't the only place that is doing this, and that many other states are returning back to where they were previously in the heightened version of the first lockdown. Now, the third thing that needs to happen is what I just mentioned, an increase in lockdowns, businesses shutting down. As soon as we saw all of those three things happening, that first stimulus check, it passed in a blink of an eye. Unemployment, increase in cases, shut down businesses. That is a recipe for a standstilling economy. We saw people freaking out, buying toilet paper purchases, and on top of that, we saw coin shortages. Those were all just an example of the result of widespread panic and people not being able to return to work and spending money. I believe if we start to see similar trends that we did in the first round before that stimulus check got passed, we will begin to see the effort of a second stimulus package as well. Now, with all those things being said, I believe the next catalyst is not going to be the things that are going on with the current pandemic, but I believe it's also going to have to do a lot with the current president that we have that's going to get into office in a few months. With a new administration in office replacing the Republicans, we should go ahead and see the Democrats, which were a largely favored party for stimulus packages, to get something done. Now, if we do see something, I'm going to give you my honest thoughts. I don't think it's going to be nearly as much as we saw with the first stimulus package. I believe it's going to be half that amount, and what we're looking at is around $600 to $700. In my personal opinion, I do believe that we are going to see additional stimulus getting passed unless we see great results given to us by this vaccine. But there are many red flags with this vaccine. Many people don't want to take it, and the time length of when they actually tested this for this to come out and become a legal drug is actually pretty scary. I'm not sure if any of you guys heard the news either of Pfizer's CEO selling out his stocks right before they went live. That is never a good sign. The next few weeks leading up to the year 2021 is probably going to be the most interesting and historic times that we've seen throughout this entire year. So whatever happens, if a stimulus check does get passed, if it doesn't, I still want to give you guys some actionable tips on what you should do in order to prepare for what might happen next. If you're struggling financially right now, I would consider you to pick up an extra job if you can, as long as it is safe. If you can't do that, I would consider picking up a no interest credit card during this time. I often don't recommend this type of strategy, but if you are someone who is struggling heavily with finances and you need a cushion for the next 1 year or even longer than that, there are credit cards that are offering you 15-month no interest promotions, which can help some people get food on the table and not worry about going negative and losing their home. We still have no idea where evictions are going to head in the next few months or even in the next few years, and I know many people are struggling out here with rent if you don't have jobs and you have a lot of bills to pay. Just make sure that you are managing your finances properly. If you aren't able to get gifts during this year, I feel like that is going to be an exception, especially with the global pandemic going on. Make sure that you are able to stay safe and able to have some type of cushion in your own finances. Now, if you are in another situation where you don't have to worry about money as much, I recommend you guys to do this. Now, what we've seen before in the past during the holiday season of Christmas, we've seen stocks continue to rise. I believe that this is going to be the case. If you guys have not yet invested into anything and you do have money sitting around, I would consider putting that into the market and making a short return. Now, the biggest play though is if you are banking on another stimulus check to get passed, you need to keep an eye out for Bitcoin. This year alone has been one of the most bullish times for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, with the amount of money being inflated into the economy. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if another stimulus check got passed and we continue to inflate the money and we continue to add on to the debt. We would continue to see Bitcoin naturally rise. Although currently we're sitting at some all-time highs, I do believe that Bitcoin is one of the best long-term plays that you guys can get into. Don't do this if you literally have no money, if you have debt, but if you have some type of money that's just sitting around in a checking account, I would highly recommend you guys to put that into some type of investment that you can take advantage of some crazy times that we probably aren't going to see for another decade at least, knock on wood. With the macro conditions that we've seen from massive stimulus checks getting passed from the government, it is a no-brainer to be investing your money into different forms of currency that you have access to with the touch of a button. If you want to learn more about that, don't forget to check out the links down below in the description. These links are at no cost to you, and some of them will actually give you free money just by signing up. So if you're looking to get into crypto, if you haven't bought any Bitcoin and you don't need $20,000 right now to buy Bitcoin, you buy a small little fraction of it. It could be 0.0000001 of Bitcoin. Go ahead and do that. Have a small position, and if it goes up, you go up, sell it, do whatever you want. You just made free money right there. But I have all the resources listed down below in the description, regardless of what happens in the stimulus package world. To end this video off, yes, it would be nice if another stimulus check passed. It seems like what the government is doing is just they're being very responsive to what is actually going on in the world. Thank you all so much again for watching this video. And one last thing, I am doing a giveaway for my Instagram. So if you guys have not yet followed me over on Instagram, I'm giving away $100. I'm just going to PayPal to someone. Drop a comment or an emoji down on my last photo, like that photo. Follow me over on Instagram, and I'm just going to be choosing one random winner within a week or so. So guys, follow me over on there. Thank you so much again for watching, and until next time, peace out.